The new crafter in Minecraft 1.21 is absolutely game-changing. Before we go over the reasons why I think this, I'd like to go over the functionality that we know and saw from Minecraft Live 2023. The crafter appears to be a crafting table that can store items and also craft them automatically, then spit those items out once they're crafted, kind of like a dropper. Now the reason I say dropper is because we do see in this segment that the crafter spits out items in front once it's powered and has crafted those items. Now a dispenser can spit out items as well, but later in the video we see that we have crafters dropping armor into dispensers, which are then dispensed onto players. So we can rule out crafters having the same functionality as dispensers because the dispensers here would be redundant. We do see that crafters will output a normal amount of items after they have crafted a recipe, which is shown here in making the hanging signs. You see multiple items come out at once in that crafter, which means that it's not going to just craft one item at a time regardless of the recipe's outcome. It's going to craft the normal amount. Here in this scene, we see the ability to toggle off certain areas in the crafting interface, so that way you can automate crafting based on certain inputs. I'm making some assumptions that the hoppers here have iron ingots in them and the dropper to the left has sticks in it. The reason I'm making these assumptions is because we see that 2 iron ingots are automatically placed into the crafter and then 1 stick is placed into the crafter. And if we take a look at the redstone clock that's happening here, we can see that the hoppers are unlocked long enough for 2 items to be placed into the crafter, then the hoppers are locked while the dropper's activated putting a stick into it, and then the crafter's powered, creating the swords and dropping them into the barrel. What's very interesting about this is the 2 iron ingots that are put into the crafter aren't stacking like they should. Using that information, we can make some assumptions that if you automatically place items into a crafter from, say, a hopper or dispenser, those items will not stack and they will fill out the next available slot in the crafter. Why is this important? Well, let's take a look at how a dropper is automatically filled. When an item is placed into a dropper, that item is going to go in the top leftmost available slot, and then it will go to the next one on the right, the next one on the right, and since there is no other available slot on the right, it will go to the next topmost left spot, which would be in the middle on the left. If you place stackable items into a dropper automatically from, say, a hopper, another dropper, etc., and there are already stackable items of that type that's not in a full stack, the dropper will automatically put those items on top of the other stackable items, trying to make a full stack. The crafter, as it seems in this video, is not stacking those items like it normally would with a dropper. The reason this is important is because we can take complex crafting recipes that use stackable items and just make one item at a time. We don't have to wait for the entire crafter to fill up with all of the stacks of the different items in order to create one thing. Now this is easily shown with dried kelp, which honestly was the first thing that I thought of when I saw the crafter being announced. Kelp farms always required the dried kelp to be manually crafted into kelp blocks and then fed back into the furnace system to make more dried kelp and also feed other furnace arrays. Now with the crafter, you can just automatically create the dried kelp block and automate the feeding of that dried kelp block back into the smeltery to smelt more kelp, and also push the excess kelp blocks over to your super smelter. Now what's fantastic about this idea is you can use this for almost any automated farm. Iron farms can now be condensed down into iron blocks so it doesn't take up as much storage and you get more iron. And you can compost the flowers that you get and automatically craft the bone meal into bone blocks as well. Now as we see here in the video from Minecraft Live, when you put just 1 iron ingot into the crafter, the recipe for nuggets show as an output. So we can assume that we can do skeleton farms, we can break down the bones to bone meal and then autocraft those to bone blocks as well, saving more storage. Now on the note of skeleton farms, I'm very interested to know if I feed all the ingredients for a dispenser into a crafter, will it then automatically grab bows from a skeleton farm and then be able to craft dispensers automatically? That would be very interesting if that was capable. What this means is zombie pigman gold farms will now automatically craft gold ingots, and then those can be fed into a different crafter, craft gold blocks too. I mean, you could even take the iron ingots and craft golden apples automatically as well. Guardian farms are now capable of automatically crafting things like sea lanterns and prismarine blocks. You just have to get the timing correct so you get the correct items in the correct slots of the crafter using redstone, and I'll show you what I mean here. Hey folks, this is me re-recording this part of the video because I just got done watching Exumavoid's crafting video. And although I'm sure there's probably a better way to do this, which I'm sure someone in the community will find out here pretty soon, X had a really good idea for how to load certain items in a certain order very easily into a crafter, and I want to show it to you here as well. More or less, you take a line of hoppers and droppers pointing into those hoppers with items that you want to push into the crafter in a very specific order. And this is perfectly shown for things like prismarine. So your first dropper here, closest to the crafter, is going to be the item that is going to be in your top left area in the crafter. So for our example, this is going to be a prismarine shard. Your next dropper is going to have your next top leftmost item. So this is going to be the top row in the middle. That's going to be your prismarine crystals. And then the next one will be the prismarine shard because that is the top row all the way on the right. And then you keep going, etc. from there. Now, where this can become a slight challenge is how do you actually load these droppers with the correct items, and easily enough from your Guardian farm you can just grab a hopper minecart and run some item filters into these droppers with the hopper minecart running over the item filter, and everything should load up just fine. From that point, all you have to do is fire each dropper at exactly the same time, so that way they load into the hopper, and then each hopper should load sequentially into the crafter and craft your item for you. Also, please go watch Exumavoid's video. He always has quality content. I'll link it in the description. But for me, really where the crafter comes in as one of the most overpowered blocks in this game is when you place it into a tree farm. This here is ENX04's automated tree farm, and because we've seen an iron ingot be able to be crafted down to nuggets, that means we can assume that putting a log into the crafter will break it down into planks. If this is the case, crafters will now be able to automatically craft anything a plank can. Wooden slabs, barrels, beds, as you can automate shearing sheep. You can automate beehives because you can automate the collection of honeycomb. Boats, bowls, because everyone knows you need more bowls. Cartography tables because you can automate the creation of paper with your sugarcane farm now. Because you can automate the creation of sticks, you can now use a crafter to make fence gates and fences. And then once you realize you can combine that wood farm with other farms like cobblestone farms, you can now automatically create things like pistons using a cobblestone generator, a wood farm, a witch farm, and an iron farm. Introducing the crafter into this game has essentially made it a factory game, and I gotta be honest, I'm here for it. Especially with all of these beautiful new copper blocks, this really is the Tinker update. I'm very excited for this new block, and I cannot wait to see what the rest of the community comes up with as far as the crafter is concerned. Automated crafting has been a requested feature for a very, very long time, and I'm so glad it's finally here. This is probably one of the biggest updates to Minecraft since Redstone was introduced. Is there anything about the crafter that I missed? Is there anything that you would like to see me go over as far as the crafter is concerned with its other uses? Let me know down in the comments below. I'm Throwlash, thank you so much for watching this video. Please remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!